So longer term, like if you ask me where Bitcoin is in 3 to 5 years from now, I think it's way higher than here.
Yep.
In the
Yep.
near
Yep.
term, it's not something I'm chasing. I'm much more looking to unload positions in it, and kind of look for pullbacks to buy or even new lows. So again, I just use that mentality. And again, listen, maybe we don't get new lows, but ultimately, you want to be ready. Like I wouldn't want to see someone putting all their money to work now at 22,700 where it is, and then all of a sudden price comes back to 19 or 18 or 17, and they're like, oh crap, I put all my money there to work. Now I can't, buy any dollar cost averaging. Instead, if you're really intent on buying, okay, but use a small amount. This way you have maneuverability to kind of buy on a dip. The Fed, there's a big Fed decision next Wednesday. So February 1st, next Wednesday, the Fed will release their FOMC policy rate decision. The anticipation, what the market's expecting, is a 25 basis point hike. And really, they're generally, if you look at the Fed expectations, it's one more hike after that, probably 25 basis points. And then the market is expecting them to stop hiking. And I think that's why you're seeing some of this risk on environment. It's knowing that the end is in sight for the hikes. I still think the market's misjudging it though, because it's not just about not hiking. If we're going to stay at 5% interest rates, that's going to be problematic for assets over the longer term. So the market has to now say, okay, well, they're not hiking anymore, but when do they start to cut? And obviously we know that's going to be when the economy weakens substantially, where they'll have to react.
Gareth Soloway is a master trader who has used fundamental and technical analysis over a 25-year career and has experienced around 100 bear markets in stocks, commodities, currencies, and crypto. Soloway was one of the few traders who predicted the peak of the crypto market in the fourth quarter of 2021 and accurately predicted its decline. You may have noticed that Bitcoin has been rising and many investors are excited about this sudden surge. Soloway clearly says this is not a sign of a new bull market and warns investors not to get too excited. Gareth Soloway believes that the big move upward we've seen in Bitcoin, Ether, and crypto markets at the beginning of 2023 is just a bear market rally. In his latest interview, Gareth reveals why he believes the Federal Reserve will not allow markets to move too far upward and believes lower lows are still to come. He says interest rates will likely stay high for most of 2023, and the crypto market will probably not get the boost it needs to rise again in short term. While addressing on the Twitter, Gareth Soloway said, "How I know the bear market and hashtag crypto isn't over. The toddler bulls are out in full force. They all joined investing in 2018 or after and have never experienced a rip-your-face-off bear market rally. Me, been through about 100 in stocks, commodities, currencies, and crypto. Hashtag Bitcoin." Here, the market anticipates that the Fed will hold rates steady or even begin to cut them later in 2023. Still, many Fed policymakers continue to comment that rates are likely to rise over 5%. That's in contrast to what the market is expecting. Higher rates have been playing out on stocks, cryptocurrency, and commodities such as oil over the last year. But what can investors expect from here, and how long will the rising rate environment impact markets? There is much more pain ahead, and there are often 30 to 50% fluctuations in tech and cryptocurrency.
FTX drop here, and then this was where it just went to sleep, right? I mean, it was just no volatility. This is where you had to exercise patience because, you didn't want to be jumping long or short in here, and it was just chopping people out. But once you got this break up, it was like a melt up. We went right back to the technical. Look at where price consolidated, right? Where it couldn't break through initially, that FTX high. And then it finally did. And we're actually starting to consolidate again. So at least in the near term, there is a chance that we could go up to 25,000 on Bitcoin here before running into some major resistance. The only thing I would dare say is that for me, at least, I still have a core position with my members as long on Bitcoin. But I would actually, if we get to 25, I probably unload that and I probably start looking at turning it into a short for a pullback. Like all of the things that I'm seeing in the Bitcoin market right now are not the telltale signs that a bottom is in. For instance, exuberance, like irrational exuberance, people just getting so crazed about Bitcoin when it's only moved up. And again, you could say from the lows, it's moved up, 50%, but really, in the scheme of zooming out on the chart, I mean, it is still way down here, but bullish sentiment is scary. It's almost as if we were all the way back to the highs from what I'm seeing on Twitter, at least. So that concerns me a little bit. One of the keynotes of a bear market really being bottomed out is that the first 20, 30, 40, 50% up, people are so skeptical and scared that they're not believing it yet. In this case,
Yes.
we're not seeing that. We're seeing all this bullish sentiment come back in so quickly, and it does make me a little bit nervous that that's happened. But it just be aware that if the NASDAQ and the S&P really start to tumble back down, it probably would be tough for crypto to withstand that sell pressure.
Gareth Soloway continues warning that the current crypto market movement should be taken with a grain of salt, despite the recent 30% run in Bitcoin. One of the questions in the Bitcoin community is whether investing in Bitcoin is the best decision to take now. The cycle predicts that we should see accumulation as part of the 2023 Bitcoin experiences. However, some market analysts think this anticipated purchase streak might not begin until 2024. The proposition summarizes that a fall in global fiat will coincide with a rise in Bitcoin's price. And with more Bitcoin volatility, the chances of increased Bitcoin prices are higher. They opine that Bitcoin and other assets in the decentralized community will fill in the void if the world crashes. Despite the negative consequences of increased interest rates from the Feds, chances are high that the U.S. regulatory body might still hike rates further.
Litecoin started to rip higher, and then a lot of the other cryptos did follow suit. So in that same vein, and again, I don't know if this is something we really want to trust, but if Litecoin started to roll over, do we then say, okay, let's be careful? Maybe the rest, like, is it becoming a leading indicator? Which again, I don't know. I mean, that's a really tough thing to think about. Is Litecoin all of a sudden the leading indicator for all of crypto? But it would be something that I would just pay attention to, right? Does Litecoin kind of roll over? Does then the rest of crypto roll over? One of the things I do look for is divergences, right? So if the RSI, let's say price was at $10 and the RSI was at 80, and then price goes up to $20 and the RSI is down below that, right? Let's say the RSI is only at 68 instead of 80. That would be a negative drop in RSI while price is going up. And we refer to that as a negative divergence. Those actually do tell you stuff. That tells you that big money's unloading in that situation into that move. And again, that's more of the way I use RSIs.
If we see pre-programmed, Litecoin halving event is one of the most significant events in the 2023 altcoin calendar and will have the volume of Litecoin awarded to miners. This event is in many ways similar to Bitcoin's own halving event, which effectively halves the volume of Bitcoin rewarded to miners every 4 years. As a result, the total supply of Litecoin will be 84 million. Much like with Bitcoin, once this limit is reached, no more new supply of Litecoin can occur, boosting the asset's scarcity. Today, Litecoin's circulating supply stands at more than 72 million, meaning fewer than 12 million Litecoin are still to be minted. Already, we can see investors looking to Litecoin as a catalyst for future bull markets, and the coin has seen an influx of investment throughout January 2023, leading to a rally of over 35% in the early months of 2023.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is just to remember not to chase, right? The more hype you see on Twitter, the more, when you see Bitcoin trending and stuff like that, it's going to naturally create an emotional trigger within you that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out. I got to jump in here. But really what you want to do is look at the chart. And if the chart has rallied, in this case, from 16 to 22,000, even topping out above 23,000, you need to be able to say, listen, if I was going to the mall today and last week these jeans were on sale at $100, now they're $1,000 jeans, would I be saying, hey, I got to buy these $1,000 jeans? You'd say, no, I'm going to wait for it to come back down, the price to come back down. You need to treat investments the same way. Buy them when they're down into support, when they're on sale, essentially. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that people have. It's that people aren't treating it like going to the supermarket and looking for what's on sale. They treat it like, for some reason, oh, I got to chase this even though it's up 3x or 4x from the lows. And that really is where people get in trouble. Ask anyone who bought in the 60,000 range on Bitcoin, right? It's like anytime you invest your money, if you're not taking responsibility for that investment, it's just ridiculous, right? I mean, again, you're investing your hard-earned money. You better take responsibility. You better do what you think is going to happen or what you see is going to happen versus listening to anyone, frankly, about those investments. So yeah, I agree. Nothing's guaranteed in the markets, and people need to understand that it's all a probability game. And so when I make my predictions, it's all based on probabilities, which means there's always even at 80% chance of success, that still means 2 out of every 10 times I'm wrong, or 20% of the time it's going to be wrong. And you have to take that into your investing. And the way that I do that, right? So this is really important, is that Because I know I could be wrong on any trade, what it does is it keeps me from putting too much money in any one trade. So this way, if it happens to be one of those ones where it doesn't work out, okay, so I take a loss, but it's not a blow my account up loss. And I think that's where people have to get to as investors, to start recognizing that any trade can go against them. So don't put all your account in one trade. It's ridiculous.
While Bitcoin maximalists advance inflation as a positive window for the world's leading cryptocurrency, however, you want to be wary of extravagant publicity. The market is well aware of the ways of greed. Similar predictions that Ether will multiply its value by a factor of 10 in 2023 should also be carefully considered. Considering the risks of economic recession in the United States and a raging energy crisis in most of Europe, it's apparent that Bitcoin doesn't have the brightest of prospects. What are your thoughts on Gareth Soloway's prediction about Bitcoin journey in short and long term in 2023? Do you expect Bitcoin bull is just a trap for investors? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like our content, give this video a big thumbs up and do subscribe to our channel.